Thank you so much for these great people on the screen here. They are supporting our channel to bring you more education like this. If you are interested in joining the crew, come on down. The link is in the description below. So yesterday I braved the heat and went to the range based on a couple of questions I got from you guys about centeredness and ball position and forward pressing. But then I got another comment yesterday saying, okay, well, what do we do with this when we get home? So what a great follow-up video. If you did not check out the video yesterday, link will be in the description below of me hitting golf balls. But now we're going to look at what you need to do when you get home to analyze things. We're going to look at before and after, see what works. Hopefully this will help you. If you do like this, hit that like, share, subscribe, but let's get going. Well, thank everybody that watched that video yesterday. I was not expecting it to be a popular video, but it seems like you guys really enjoyed, me being out there explaining what I'm trying to teach you about cause and effect and see it in person. So in the future, I think I'm going to do a series maybe once a week, weather dependent, obviously. So if you have any questions you need me to answer while I'm out there hitting golf balls, it could be driver, it could be chipping, putting, whatever you want. Let's try and do a series once a week. We'll call it Tony's heat stroke series or whatever we need to call it. But leave comments down below. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I'll go after your questions, and obviously I'll tell who the question's from, and we'll go over that answer. So hopefully that helps you. But just to start things off, this is my swing just to show you what I'm dealing with currently. And it's not like I play a lot, but I'm just looking at my swing nowadays. And if you know already, I suffer from issues at the top. I get pretty steep pretty quickly, and it does stem from me not being able to utilize my lower body like I used to, just because I sit in this chair a lot lately and my legs are starting to form like chairs. So this area back here, my hamstrings are pretty tight, and when you have tight hamstrings, you start losing your posture and you start standing up and your legs collapse. But as a result, we can see at the top of my swing I do get a little bit higher than my secondary plane, just because I lift up, and this comes from an old move that I did have that I corrected, but it's coming back. But the issue I have is this first move here. I get parallel, but I get parallel to the ground, or excuse me, that lower plane line way too high, and now that steepness, so I suffer pretty big pulls when I do hit the golf ball. Even here, that club is, this one was struck fairly well, but it's still not a move I'm looking for. We see a lot of collapsing down here. We're not able to maintain our posture as well. We don't have an increase of tilting like I would like to see. So I'm not utilizing my tilting correctly, and that's just weight distribution, and also that lower body is just collapsing. So one way I suggested changing this for me is to say, okay, let me see what happens when I get my weight to my heels, because now that's going to make the club at the top of the swing a little deeper than I'm used to. So let's get Barney Purple, because he hasn't made his appearance lately. And then we're going to use Smirkleton. Yes, Smirkleton, just to take a look at the spine angle and see how deep I'm able to get in relation to my centeredness. So let's do this in mellow yellow, arches of the heels straight up to the sky. So here we can see. Now YouTube does this. Sometimes when I'm looking at it through Swing Catalyst, lines look straight, but when I watch YouTube, they're all crooked. So you have to take my word for it that line is straight, and it's obviously behind my centeredness, where now we have that line. We can see my centeredness is behind that line. So we're going to look at cause and effect here. So what we're looking at is, let's do this in a circle, is we're looking at Gumby Green. Notice where that X and that line is. The one where the weight is on the heels is behind that line. So we're going to look for the depth to see if this occurs. As we take that club back, we can see a slight bit of difference initially right there. So we see that club does tend to try to get deeper. So in terms of my connection, look at the difference just by getting my weight more towards my heels. And this is one thing that I was really curious to see how it affects me, and obviously there is a huge difference right away. So you can see, and I even read, look at the club depth when my weighting's on my toes versus the club depth when my weighting is on the heels. It has found my centeredness. So the immediate change for me here is like, okay, good, I am now more connected to my centeredness with the right side. Now here's the issue, is what I said yesterday. His feel is not real, because I thought I was turning more. it's possible I might be turning. It's clearly not visual. I can't see a bigger turn. Maybe my left knee is collapsing more, but that's a stretch. I don't feel much turn. So what this did for me is actually get my hands to find my center a little bit better in terms of getting them back to my center. So far things are looking good, but take a look what happens when I start that downswing. We still see the club getting parallel, but here's the cool thing is look at this. The club is falling parallel much sooner. So there's parallel to my lower plane line, and look at that, parallel to the lower plane up there. So you can see some differences already. Now contact wise, I don't know how good of a contact that was. I can't remember much from yesterday because of the heat stroke, but I think it wasn't as good as I would have thought it to be. But the good thing about this is look at that exit path. We see an exit path on the left side. So there's the exit path. We can see, we're going to do this in Gumby Green versus the exit path on the newer one. Look at that. There's the first sign of the club. So the club is actually remaining on that lower plane line better. Now you can see obviously my neurological system of my hands really releasing. It's still there. I'm still not getting the tilt that I desire, but hey, this is a start. So this is what I want to focus with you is once you change your address position, it really depends on how ingrained that motion is from the top of your swing to impact. If I have someone that just play over and over, if I have somebody that is brand new to the game and we change their setup, we change something, their ball position, whatever it could be, their in-swing principles will probably change pretty quickly because there's not a lot of neurological banking that we have to deal with. But if it's somebody like me that has been playing for over 40 years, just because I changed my setup, my swing is not going to change. So this is why I have to address a in-swing principle change to counteract my setup changes. So hopefully that makes sense so far. So this next video, we're going to look at the in-swing principle change. Let me move my fat head over and let's just draw some plane lines because I don't think much really matters other than playing here. So this is me with the weighting on the back of my heels, and this is going to be an in-swing change from my normal setup. So we're going to do the normal setup in-swing change first, and then we're going to if I was continually practicing, I would merge them both together. But just to show you what can happen when you do two swing changes with the same goal in mind. So we know, look at the first part of the takeaway. With the address change, my hands fall on that lower plane line. My club is on that lower plane line. With the in-swing change, I felt like I'm pulling the club more inside, and you can clearly see that club head is way below that lower plane line. But the key, what we're looking for, is do I go in the slot more effectively from the top of the swing? So we get to the top of the swing, our hands are again a little deeper. So this is without the address change. Here is with the address change without the in-swing principles. So the top position is getting to about the same, but one was just address and one was no address change and in-swing only. So we're kind of getting to the same point. But let's take a look at the downswing because this is what needs to occur a little bit better. So the first sign of being parallel, let's take a look. We already reached parallel on the left side. So here we go. We can start to see some changes occurring here. So there is parallel and here is parallel. So we can see that the address change alone, I'm better than my old address without the in-swing or the address change. But look at the principle. Without addressing the address, I'm better than the address change. So which one would actually work for me? Right now, I think if I don't have time to practice or work on anything, which is usually the case for me, I'm probably going to go with the right side, where it's just the same address, but I'm changing my principles. But let's take a look. I'm jumping, putting the cart before the horse. Let's take a look down at impact. So we see the next couple of frames, the one on the right side, look at that. It actually reached that lower plane line a little quicker. My hands are slightly up as we drive into the target. Now's the moment of truth. We can see that impact on both of these. Let's clear these lines up. Which one looks a little bit more athletic? I would have to say the one on the right side because I do have more spacing here. So my hands don't really have to get a little bit manipulation going on. My weighting is obviously better. I'm pushing off with my right side as opposed to rolling with my right side. So far, the one on the right side is probably a better change for me. But that release pattern, I mean, look at this. My hands are working away from my body here. They're working into my body. Once we release, this is the telltale. So there's the first sign of the release, and the first sign of the release is here. So it's definitely higher than the address change alone. Now, in a perfect world, I think if I really had time to dedicate to my game, I would do both. I would have my weighting probably not as exaggerated, because that left one was an exaggerated heel. I'd probably move it slightly back, but then also enact more of the in-swing principles of feeling my hands moving more inside. And then I would probably align my club head with my grip at the halfway checkpoint. So in other words, my next step would be right here, right when that club is parallel to the ground. I would work on getting my hands where they are, but then get those club head a little bit higher to kind of get that nice little tight circle. But in a nutshell, from this point of view, I just want you to kind of go see what you should be looking at. You should probably do an address change only, and then you should do an in-swing principle change only. Look at the differences between them. Decide which one is hitting your mark better, and then shoot for that one. My best advice is you want to do a little bit of both, because just changing one or the other is not going to work together in the long run. They have to be adjusted together for things to make sense. So I hope that makes sense to you. But now let's go look at, just for giggles, let's go look at the difference between face on, where the ball position is on the front of the foot, versus the back of the foot. And let's see how fast the hands will have to move. Now, I'm kind of gifted and kind of not gifted to have the same thing, to have quick hands. So if you take a look at the one on the right side, my hands feel it. My hands are way ahead of the golf ball, carrying some angle, but they're way ahead. So guess what that has to happen? They have to go very quickly. So there they're starting to go. Watch the release on the right side. Immediately, look how quick the hands go. I mean, that is just a lot of manipulation. Left side, I'm able to get to that impact position pretty good. We can take a look at my tilting. And my hands are slightly behind, obviously, because I have very fast hands. But look at the same position. We have the same body position here. So this is the same point in time. We can tell this because of that shoulder tilting is roughly the same, but one has released and one is still holding on. So this is where ball position can play a really important part of you. Now, if you have fast hands like me, you can probably get away with getting the ball too far in the back, and then next thing you know, it creeps too far back and then the whole swing collapses. So you have to be really careful and know who you are. If you don't have fast swings, you want to favor center to maybe forward to center to allow your body to strike the golf ball more. But it's just a balance game. You know, we're all completely different of each other, but you can still see, look at my fast hands. Regardless, I'm always just have very fast hands, and I don't know why. But again, family show, I don't need to go in that direction. But the last one I wanted to show you here is the forward press, because forward presses can really destroy golf swings. So we have two different makeups for the forward press. Number one, on the left side, is shifting my center ahead of the golf ball to close that gap. Number two is staying behind the golf ball and increasing my tilting to add loft to the club. So one of them I'm trying to make up by adding loft. The one on the left side, I'm trying to make up that spacing, but I get so far ahead of the golf ball, my golf ball flights are completely different. I believe they both went somewhat straight. It wasn't like they just, way block left or pull right. They were reasonable shots, but the height was night and day. The one on the left side obviously was killing squirrels. The one on the right side, we had to de-ice that ball when it came back. But let's go down to impact and see the difference here. So we back it up. The big difference, obviously, the centeredness. We're going to look at the microphone straight down to the ground. So there's the mic straight down versus the mic straight down. We can see that one is more centered. The other one is definitely moved over. So that's shifting the center point. Number two we're going to look at is the shoulder tilting in relation to my spine. So the right shoulder kicks down, but my spine angle, we can see my spine angle is relatively straight. The one on the right side, the shoulder's kicking back down even more, and my spine angle is leaning back. Now that leaning back is trying to create some loft with my spine. So the more you do this, the more your dynamic loft at impact will want to be more up. So by you getting that golf ball too far back, you've closed that club face, there's no way to get the ball up, so we start to fall back. So this is another reason why manufacturers, when you get custom fit clubs, I would say 90 times out of 100, I probably better just say 9 out of 10 times, whenever I fit drivers, people that have drivers do not have enough loft. And it has to do with getting launch angle. Now, obviously, drivers are different, but the same thing can occur with the irons. If you de-loft your irons so much, you can't get the ball high enough with enough spin to get the flight. So you might hit these low punchy shots, but they just don't go anywhere, which is why we see beginner players hit their 5 irons the same length as their 8 irons, because they're not getting the ball up in the air. They're not utilizing the static loft correctly. So I hope this kind of makes sense to you, to kind of look at what you need to look at home. But again, we're going to try this once a week. Let me know your comments down below of what you want me to talk about. I'll credit the correct question to you. I'll try and answer the best I can. I think it might be a good compliment to being indoors. Trust me to choose, starting this in June, hottest 3 months of the year in Death Valley. But that's just how I roll. Hope that helps you. I'll see you next time. Pairs and Greens.